Now, gee, but it's great after staying out late, walking my baby back home.
Hey DeeDee!
Merry Christmas!
So we made a video for you this year where we Skyped your family members and asked them questions about you. Their first question is, what is their favorite thing about you? Their second question is, what is their favorite memory? And the third is, what is something that you've taught them?
We've compiled pictures to go with all the videos, and all of your family members have put their own special touch on what they love about you, so I think you'll really enjoy hearing it.
Merry Christmas, we love you so much, and we hope you enjoy this video.
Pet, and that's when I get her powder all over my vest. And just when I try to straighten my tie, she wants to borrow my comb. One kiss and then
well, what I remember is that I like her cooking. She always feeds me, and it even started way back when I was before I even drove. When they moved down here, and I could go down to her house, and she made the best cheeseburgers in the world, and I really liked her cheeseburgers. And that's a long time ago. That had to be like in the early 60s sometime, and I would go there. And I just remember about a year ago or so, I was in Columbus, and I went to her house, and she'd made coups de gras. And once again, good food. My favorite is Doris's cooking.
well, we starting to pet.
Her decorating ability, her skills as an interior decorator, because I have absolutely none. And I always had to depend on her. I can't match colors. I'm just not good at it. She should have been an interior decorator. She's so good.
When I was in high school, I would borrow your mom's car, and she would let me use her car. She had a Buick Skylark convertible. It was yellow, but it was not only her car; it was Russ's car, Dad. And your grandfather, he was so protective about cars. I mean, that was like the thing. In fact, I think Russ and Jeff said that he used to put velvet ropes around them, but I don't think it was quite that bad. But and she would let me use her car I remember one time I was out getting ads for the annual, and I had to have a car to go around, and my car wasn't working too well, and she let me use her car. And I remember that because I know that even now I know that was really something, to let me use her car and to go to get your Russ to agree to it. So I really remember that. That's what now in retrospect, I think that was really something she did for me.
One of my favorite memories is whenever I had Kurt and Dale was away in the service, and she came to the hospital and picked us up and brought us home.
That's why, darling.
I guess what she taught me was that family comes first. I mean, when she was younger, my dad was sick when he had his heart attack, and things were, financially, Mom and Dad, they didn't have a whole lot of money, and my dad went and borrowed all his life insurance and bought the hardware store. I don't even know if you've ever seen it or remember it, but it was a store in Powhatan, and it was just empty, and he bought it. And Doris and myself and, the rest of, we worked on that store and made apartments for him and did it. And to me, that shows that family, to Doris' family is first.
Work ethic. You have to work. Like Dale said, they worked, and she always worked, wasn't afraid of work, and I feel the same way. She taught me her work to work. Doesn't hurt you.
No matter what's going on, it's our family first. And she always taught us that.
That's how you stay.
When Kurt and I were dating, she lived in Bethlehem. And one time we were driving through Wheeling, and he said, well, let's just stop and visit Aunt Doris. So we kind of popped in unexpectedly. And Aunt Doris apparently had like a nightgown or something laying on the couch. And when we came in, she was shoving it under the couch cushions. She didn't want us to see her nightgown laying out on the couch. That's just something I always thought was funny.
Me, my first impression was that you were fun, that I wanted to get to know you. My first impression was that you were a strong, smart, funny person.
Call me.
By far, the way you carry yourself, the way you look, love your style. My favorite thing is your ornery side.
Throw in.
Okay, I can hear you right now. You, I'm sure, are saying, oh my gosh, how wonderful. Your grandchildren have really come up with a great idea for you this time. And I just have to say, my first impression when you came in and I met you, you just had so much class, and you're such a lady, and you're a lot of fun and have an ornery side too that you can keep under that very well.
Adore.
Probably my most favorite thing about you, Doris, is how important family and friends are to you. And you've been such a good friend to me. And we've had a lot of laughs and we've had a lot of tears. And I think as just a friendship, we have been through a lot together. And it has been such a joy just to have that time. And there are lots of things I can come and talk to you about. And you can give me advice that I probably wouldn't want to ask my own mother. If you know what I mean, because I am Methodist.
But it's undeniably true.
Actually, is when you did ask me why I did whatever it was I did, and I said, I don't know. I think it's because I'm Methodist. And you and I laugh and use that line a lot. That always brings me to laughter when I think about that. That was a fun day. So I hope you're having a great holiday with your family, and I'm sure that this is so meaningful to you, and I'm sure it's just as special as you are. So I'll see you soon.
Aunt. Now, the sister of your mother or father, a person who can give hugs like a mother, keep secrets like a sister, and share love like a friend. That's how I would describe my Aunt Doris. And I can remember all kinds of shopping trips when we were young, and it was really special because I was the only girl. I was the only granddaughter, I was the only niece, and I was the only daughter. So you could imagine what it was like going shopping with my mom and Aunt Doris and the boys. And I always knew that if my mom said no, I could look over to Aunt Doris and she would say yes. Aunt Doris, if I could give you one thing in life, I would give you the ability to see yourself through my eyes. Only then would you realize how special you are to me. I love you. Merry Christmas.
Sister. I don't know how anyone could make it through life without a sister. I've been your sister for a good many years. I've been your older sister, your younger sister, and if I remember correctly, one time we were twins, the same age. But you know, we've been through good times, bad times, sad times, and happy times. I remember the other day you said to me, every time I talk to you, I have to laugh because we end up laughing. And I think that's a great trait between us. No matter what, we make each other laugh, and we can forget our sad times and be sisters, because there's no better friend than a sister, and there's no better sister than you.
Doris, I'm supposed to say something that brings back memories that you've done over the years to me, or for me, or something that was funny. I can't think of a single thing. Only thing I can think to say is, I'm proud of you. partner.
And I think back to when I was younger and either coming to my house or going to your house, you and my mom would always meet halfway and pick us up at the Dairy Queen up on top of the hill between West Union and Middlebourne. Dairy Land or something like that, I can't think of the name of it, but that just teaches about family. And, you know, you gotta admit we got the best, so it starts with Grandma and Grandpa, and then you and Mom and Uncle Dale and Uncle Mick. But I love you. Merry Christmas. And one thing I wanted to thank you for is you never got me a Labrador sweatshirt like you did Russ and Jeff, and I really appreciate that, because you are known as the aunt that got us clothes at Christmas. I love you.
Favorite memory of you, and that is the first time that I met you. I rode in the back of the car with Tom to an I Wish, and it was the first one I had ever been to, and it was in Cleveland at Russ and Melinda's house, and it took quite some time to get there, and it was dark at night when we arrived, and I'm pretty sure I slept a good bit of the time. And I woke up when we pulled in the driveway, and out comes running Aunt Doris, arms wide open, waiting to say hello and greet me and meet me, because I had never met you before. And I will never forget how welcoming you were. So I just want to say thank you for that, and Merry Christmas.
My favorite thing about Aunt Doris is that she's always so positive, complimentative, and happy, and she's such a fair person. So it's always so nice. You just feel so appreciated and loved, and just in a good mood when you're around her. I do remember whenever Nanny and Pap first started to Myrtle Beach, and she was down there, and then when Nanny and Pap had their 50th wedding anniversary, just being able to go down there on weekends when I was in college and spend that time with them, it was just nice for all of us to be together. But I guess with her and Nanny and Bubby, and Dale too, I guess them just teaching us how important family is, and to never take anything for granted. Life is too short to be anything but happy. So I think that they exemplify that, which is wonderful.
My favorite memory of Aunt Doris is when our family used to go to her house for 4th of July and hang out with family, watch fireworks, and eat food. Merry Christmas. I love you.
Hi, Aunt Doris. My greatest memory with you is when you, me, Esther, and Nanny went to lunch together. That was really fun. I hope you have a great Christmas.
Howdy, Doris. I thought I'd come back and give you one more big old how do you do. Love you.
My favorite thing about DeeDee since day one of like first grade that I met her was that she never treated me like I was just a friend of Paige's. From literally the first day that I had met her when she volunteered to help with reading in first grade, she treated me like one of her own granddaughters and like family, and that has meant the world to me.
She has a laugh that'll get the whole room laughing. She just, if something is really funny, she'll laugh, and then you'll end up laughing with her. I can remember one time she and I went out in Wheeling. We went to dinner, and then we were out for a while. And I was a teacher at St. Clairsville High School then. And we ran into the football coach. And he was a good friend of mine, and his wife had died a few years before, and I'm thinking he'd be perfect for Doris. I said, Coach, come on over here. I said, this is my sister. He said, yeah, right. he wouldn't believe me that it was my sister. He thought I was out with this woman. I said, no, I'm serious, it's my sister. So finally I convinced him, and they talked a while. This was the summertime. And so he leaves, and I said, Doris, I said, isn't he a nice guy? He would be perfect. And she said, he stunk. Because it was summertime, and they'd had 2 football practices that day. It was like August, and they went over there just to have a beer after practice. And she said, he stunk. I think Doris has taught me, and probably taught all of us, about surviving. No matter what happens to her, she survives, and she's taught me that no matter what happens to me, bad or good, there's a way of coming out of it, because my sister came out of it.
Hi, DeeDee. So my favorite thing about you, I think, would have to be you have a great memory, and I love getting together with you and during the holidays and hearing you tell stories about Russ and Jeff and us kids and all the funny little things we used to do. I think it's really cool that, you know, you cherish those moments and share them back with us. Even stories that I've heard before, like the one with Daniel not wanting to go to bed and you having to move the cookie up each step to get him up the stairs. I don't know, it makes me smile whenever I think about it. And you know, you're a good story keeper. I think one of my favorite memories with you, it's more of a series of memories, but I remember whenever we had our little date days, I would always want to go to the pet store, and that was just so exciting to go in there and look at all the animals with you. And whenever I see pet stores, I still think about when we went in there and you know, look at the birds, especially the birds, and how you got me Thunder and Lightning, and how when we were up at Ogilvy, Rachel was trying to help you keep the secret and wouldn't let me go into the room. And when I finally went in and snuck past her defense, that she told me that the bird was your neighbor's and you were taking care of it. And I was so sad about that, but it was only momentary. And then I, you know, found out that you had got me a little bird. But yeah, I just want to say thank you for doing that. That's something I really cherish that we got to do together. So something I've learned from you, I think, has to do with you being the matriarch of the family and setting a standard for family values. I just feel like you've instilled such a good sense of family time and you know, getting along with and spending time with your family members and Russ and Jeff, and that has trickled down to me. And you know, I really value all the time that I get to spend with my family. You know, being out in Washington, it's hard to, you know, make time for, you know, the phone calls and, you know, keeping in touch with people, but it's something that's just innate at this point. You know, I knew at the end of this year that I needed to come home, and I wanted to come home, and I'm really sad that I can't be there on this Christmas, but it's gonna be tough this year, and I'm really sad I'm gonna be missing it. But I'm glad that you've created such a strong support system, and you've instilled these values in your sons, and I hope you know that's gonna keep going for all these generations, and it all started with you.
Oh, why hello. I didn't realize it was quite time yet. Well, let me close my book and we'll adjourn. So, grandmother, to you, for Christmas, I would like to describe a few of my favorite memories, moments, and attributes that I feel make you the grandmother above the rest. Where to start? I think the best place to begin is with the cookie. Back when I was a young man, a very young man at that, maybe a bit stubborn, set in my ways. Like any young child, I had a horrible, terrifying fear of going to bed. I remember one specific time greater than almost all others. The story that I've been told over and over again, relentlessly, so much so that I've adapted it to every part of my life. It is the story of the cookie and the stairs. Now, what I think sets the story of the cookie and the stairs apart from other stories is the fact that not all grandmothers, mothers, fathers, even grandfathers would have thought of quite a deceptive way to get a child into bed. And Grandma, what I think you do so well is you are able to see exactly what someone needs and wants and provide. And I needed sleep. And to coax me, coerce, into a sleeping state, you used a powerful tool, the cookie, and I'll never forget that.
Hello, Grandma DeeDee. One thing I'm thankful for about you is your hair. It's so fluffy. Don't give up throughout your life.
I'd have to say my favorite thing about DeeDee is how positive she is. I just know that anytime I see DeeDee, she always has something really kind to say and some really encouraging thoughts about what's going on in my life and her life, and she just always has something really kind and sweet to say.
Unforgettable.
My favorite memory of DeeDee is when she would take me to Coleman's Fish Market, and I would get to go in and meet all the people that she knew and all of her friends, and we would always get a fish sandwich with a slice of American cheese on it and orange pop, and I just loved running around with her and being her little buddy for the day. DeeDee taught me a very, very important lesson one year in my early teens. She probably remembers this story, but I'll remind you. We were driving to a family event, and I, at a young age, was very concerned about whether my legs were hairless or not. So I convinced her to go into a drugstore and buy a pink razor, and I was going to dry shave my legs on the way to this event. And she was so gracious, and she tried to warn me that dry shaving was going to be very painful, but I wasn't old enough to trust her yet, so there I sat in the back of her car, dry shaving my legs with a pink Bic disposable razor, and I thought all was fine and dandy when a few minutes later my legs started to feel like they were on fire, and I screamed and cried about how they hurt and how, my God, they were burning. And Grandma was so kind and just said, I tried to warn you about dry shaving, honey. I tried to warn you. And that was the day I learned that you never dry shave with a disposable razor.
I have to say one of my very favorite memories of DeeDee is when I first came into the family, and they would all get together for Christmas, and all the women would go in the kitchen and just cook all together for hours, and they would laugh and just have a great time together. Like this was my first real introduction to green beans and tomato sauce and bacon and all those happy things they put together, and I just remember how it always smelled so good at their house. It was just fun to see Bubby and everybody, having a great time together. Well, the beauty of cooking bacon and then adding onions and how that smells wonderful and makes everything taste wonderful. That was kind of a critical thing I learned from her. And the second, probably more serious thing I would say is, I feel like one of the things she taught me is the way that she's kind of modeled like reinventing herself sometimes in life. You know, after she lost her husband and then she kind of started over again, and she started over with John, and she's had a series of kind of fresh starts. It's kind of been cool to watch her do that and see her grow through different phases of her life. I'd have to say my favorite thing about DeeDee is that she produced 2 wonderful sons, one of which I got to marry. Well, she raised them to be strong, silent type of men, always around, always available, but never saying that much. It's a great thing she's given us.
All right, so I got asked the question, and that is, tell you something about my mother that maybe everybody doesn't know, or that's one of my favorite memories. And so here I go. When I grew up in a small town in southeastern Ohio, there wasn't a lot of culture around. I mean, sure, we had the movie theater up the road, and we had the bowling alley in Bel Air. But as far as high culture, the arts, wasn't there. But that didn't make any difference to my mother. My mother was determined that her sons were going to grow up with a little culture. So she would pack us up and take us to places like Pittsburgh. And we'd go to Pittsburgh and we'd do things like eat in a French restaurant or eat in a Japanese restaurant to experience other kinds of food. Or we would go to a museum where they had fine art and we'd look at paintings. Or we'd go to museums and see the Field Museum and see the dinosaurs and study information about the history of the earth. We also did go to movies, and we always went to the movies that were the ones that were the most current. I remember the year that Star Wars came out. We went to Star Wars. I remember when Smokey and the Bandit came out. We went to that. I remember when The Sting, which won an Oscar, we went to that. My mom was committed to making sure that we knew about the arts, fine food, other places on the planet, and she wanted us to reach for more and always do more. And I can remember we would be in other cities when we would travel on vacation. We were in Florida, and she would look up something special and make sure we knew the history. Or when we went to Cleveland, Mom was always pushing us to be academically developed and understand culture and look beyond living just down in the valley. And that's one of the things I always remember, and I still like the arts, and I still like doing those things today, and I'm sure it's because of her.
I remember Doris as this little short lady, dark-haired, very attractive, and I can't believe that she had 2 big boys like Jeff and Russ. But she was very kind and just accepted us as part of her family, and I remember that very clearly. And she always treated us very, very nice, and we just enjoyed being around her.
Doris is a lovely woman, and I really enjoyed seeing her and talking to her. It was just so much, and I just liked her so much. She's a wonderful lady, and I love her.
Doris, do you remember when you took us over to a place near Waynesburg, Pennsylvania for dinner one Sunday? And I think you had rented a limousine or something like that. That was cool. I like that. One of my favorite memories of Doris, though, is when we'd meet someplace and when the girls were going to the elementary school and we'd meet for Grandparents' Day.
Hi, DeeDee. When Paige asked me to do this, I really tried to think about
just the so many experiences we've had over the years. We've known each other 31 years now, and how I would explain you is to say to know you is to love you. And I love you more and more with each passing decade and with each passing year. I want to talk about two of your attributes. There are many, but these have been important to me and examples for me. And I think that one is your generosity, both with your time and with your talents. And I remember as far back as when you had Dorelli's and you would give money to Rob Smith. Even though you didn't agree all the time with the way he lived his life, you tried to help him, you tried to educate him, you gave him money to invest in a trucking business. I also remember another employee at the office, Melissa. She was a young girl. You gave her so many things, and you invested your time into helping her become a business lady. And those are two examples from long ago. We just recently talked about an example in your building where you were very generous to a man that lives in your building, and it was important to you to not only loan him money, but to give him money. And your generosity to the people in your family, to the ministers and the people in your church, and even just to neighbors has been wonderful. You have always opened your home to my family. The day my nephew was born, you opened your home to host my brother for Thanksgiving. You have shared many a Mother's Day with my mother. You have been to our home for Thanksgiving. You have shared Christmas Day with my parents just last year in our home. You have always been extremely kind to both my brother and sister. You ask about my relatives, and I really appreciate the bond that our families have, and I appreciate the fact that you are very generous in your comments about my mother and father, and that you genuinely care about them and about Bobby and Beth and their families. I love you. I would do anything for you, as I know that you feel the same about me, and I look forward to many more years of sharing and talking about the girls, and together just watching them grow and experiencing their lives together. Love you.
My favorite thing about DeeDee is probably her compliments, because she gives the best compliments and they're always so nice, and when you're feeling down, she's always cheerful about them, and she'll give such great compliments and you'll have to laugh with her. And my other favorite thing about her is probably she has the best fashion sense that a grandma can have. My favorite memory with you is when I would come over and spend the night, and then the next morning we would make eggs and bacon, and I would help make everything but crack the eggs, and you'd be like, oh, you can crack the eggs, and I'd be like, no, I can't. So you'd crack the eggs, and then the next time I'd come over, you'd be like, okay, you're ready to crack the eggs, aren't you? And I'm like, no, I'm not ready to crack the eggs. So I keep coming over, and I haven't cracked that egg yet. Be determined when something doesn't go right, but I should keep trying it. And like, I've done things, but you're like, oh no, you can keep doing it, just keep trying. It's like, no, but then you would be like, oh no, just keep trying. And so that's really worked out for me, and taught me always to be determined, always keep trying if it doesn't go wrong, and I will keep trying to crack that egg.
You are absolutely loved by everyone, and everyone knows it, and when you say DeeDee, immediately, nothing but good words. All of my friends know you as the greatest grandmother ever. Everybody wants to talk about you. You're so cool. You're such a cool person and a great human being, and as a grandmother, it's been so wonderful to have you as not just a grandmother, but a friend and a teacher, and you just love us all so much. I know you've always wanted all of us, Paige, Esther, and I, to follow our dreams, and you've always encouraged us in everything. You've encouraged us, or you've encouraged me in writing and being passionate about school, and you want to hear about how I'm doing in swimming, even if I'm doing really badly. You're always so enthusiastic and you're so positive about it. And I remember when we went to dinner after I came back from Kenya, you wanted to hear every single story, you wanted to hear every single person and look at pictures, and you wanted to hear exactly what I'd written, and you wanted to know all the details. And you've always been like that, always interested in anything we had to say, even if it was completely not interesting at all. You still laugh and you still appreciate it, and you're still so excited because we're excited. I really wanted you to read the Narnia books because they were my favorite books. And you said, of course, I'll read the Narnia books because I know you love them and I want to do what you love. So I gave you the Narnia book. And then for at least 3 years, every time I came over, I'd ask you if you'd started it. And you'd say, no, I'm getting to it. And you would always be getting to it. But, so I don't think, you might still have it. I don't know if you've read it yet, but I know you're getting to it. So I know one day you'll get there eventually. And I know you wanted to be a part of that with me, and you wanted me to be excited about the Narnia books, and you were excited, I was excited. DeeDee, you've taught me that the 2 most important things in life are being your own person. Just through the way you've always encouraged me to be myself and love whatever I'm passionate about and stand up for what I believe in. And the second thing you've taught me is to love your family, and that family always comes first. And lately it's been really hard and everything's busy, but you have always tried to make time for family, and you've always made sure that family is covered, and to talking to them constantly, just being involved is really important. I know a lot of families, a lot of people I know are not taught that lesson and do not have that loving, warm community that I do, and I can't ever take it for granted because of what you've taught us about how to love and how to be a family, and it's so important. So my favorite thing about DeeDee is that she's always welcoming to whoever she meets. And, I would bring friends over all the time, or I would always introduce her to new people, and they would always leave being like, oh my gosh, your grandma is amazing. Like, she made me feel like she was my grandma, and I've only known her for an hour. And I was always so appreciative of that, and having grandma so welcoming and amazing as you, I just love how you can make anyone feel so loved and so valued even during a short amount of time. So my favorite memory, I'm kind of throwing it back, and it was when the famous story when you bought Maddie and I new clothing and you took us to Bob Evans, because of course I wanted to go to Bob Evans. And, we begged you to let us wear our new clothing, and of course you said, yes, you can, as long as you do not spill anything on the clothing. And we were like, DeeDee, what? You think we're going to spill things on the clothing? And so we put on our new clothing. I think I was wearing a purple shirt, and Maddie had on new purple things too. And we were sitting in the Bob Evans booth, and we were like, oh, can we order a sundae? And you were like, a sundae? They're going to get it on their clothes, and don't order a sundae. And Maddie and I were like, you don't have any confidence in us to not spill things? And so, of course, we got you to buy us a sundae. And Maddie was sitting on the other side of us, and as soon as she takes a bite of the sundae, the ice cream falls off the spoon. You run over to the other side of the booth, catch it, and Maddie goes, oh, I already told you how beautiful you are. And we all laugh, and on life goes. There's so many things that you've taught me, such as to always wear deodorant, to take some clothing to dry cleaning depending on what kind of material it is, and to cook scrambled eggs without milk because it tastes better that way, and the list can go on and on. But I think the thing that you've taught me most is how to love myself and be confident in myself. And, you've always been so loving and always been so encouraging. And I try to take what you taught me and use it with other people. And I really have learned a lot from you. And I think seeing and like how much you love yourself and you love others, and seeing your joy really helps rub off on me and helps me see like I can be confident in myself and I don't need to change for anyone, and they'll love me as I am. And that lesson is so valuable, and I wish I could put into words how much it means to me that you've taught me that. But I hope you know that you're just so great, and the love that you have for me and your family, like, I really think like that is a long-lasting thing on all of us. And all my friends tell me that I have such an awesome grandma because I talk about you way too much. And I'm just so thankful that I get to talk about how great my grandma is all the time.
And your shoes get so hot.
Number one, above anything else, is loyalty. Be it to my mother's children, grandchildren, anybody in her family. They're always the best. They're never wrong. She's behind you 100%, and you always know it. And there is nobody else equal to you. So just the absolute loyalty and the love she has for her family. And that is something that I have known as long as I've known her. I had been going to school each day, and a kid that was 3 years older than me, even though he was in my same grade, sat behind me. And he was getting the graduation ring of a friend, turning it backwards in his hand, and then hitting me in the back of the head with it. And all the other classmates and busmates were laughing at me. So I tried to figure out ways to not ride the bus. Finally, my mother figured out what was going on. And she said, all right, you're going to ride the bus. And I'm telling you, the first time he hits you, you turn around and you bust him, and you bust him good. This is coming to an end. And I was new to wearing glasses, and I said to her, but Mom, what do I do about my glasses? And I remember her kind of laughing at the time because that wasn't the answer she was expecting. So she said, what you do is, after he hits you in the head, take your glasses off, you hand them to the person that sits next to you, and then you blast him, and you blast him good. So I go on the bus, yada, 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 ring in the back of the head. I take off my glasses, and I hand them to Doug Beef Boston. And then I turn around and get up on my knees, and I begin hitting Kenny Beckett as hard as I can, as many times as I can. And I don't stop. The bus driver has to pull the bus off the road and come back and pull me off of Kenny Beckett. Unbeknownst to me, my mom had already called the principal of the school and said, there's going to be a fight today, and I want your assurance this will not go on Jeffrey's permanent record. Unbeknownst to me, there's this permanent record out there that includes my fighting of Kenny Beckett.
Unforgettable.
So another favorite memory I have is much later in life, from my adult years. And I was in my last year at Bethany College. I was getting an accounting degree, and my plan was to go to grad school. I call my mother second semester, and I say, Mom, I don't want to go to grad school. What I really want to do is I want to get a job with a Big 8 accounting firm. And she said, well, who are those firms? Is that like H&R Block? And I said, no, these are real accounting firms in all the major cities. They audit large corporations. And I said, I need to get a resume in, or they'll ask me for an interview because I need to get a job with them. So she asked me for the name of the 8 firms. Again, I didn't know it, but she took her mother, my grandmother, and they drove to the Pittsburgh airport, because at the Pittsburgh airport, they had phone books from all over the United States, every major city. They took each phone book, she and my grandmother, and got an address for every Big 8 accounting firm in every major city. And then she gave that to me, and she said, here, I want you to send your resume to each and every one of these. So again, it goes back to what I talked about. My mom truly believed I was overqualified to work for any of those accounting firms, and she was going to help me land that job that I needed to further my career. Probably first and foremost, she taught me the love of God and Jesus and how important it was that that part of my life was in order. I can remember being in high school and having my friend Jay stay the night, and we'd be out late on a Saturday night. We'd come home, and sure enough, 8:30 the next morning, she was beating a pan against the bedpost to get us up to go to church. She was never going to let me forget how important that part of my life was. So to summarize how I feel about my mom, I think about it like this. My father died when I was 13, and that person was never replaced in my life. I never had an older man take on that role, but I did have a mom who not only was my mother and played all of the normal roles of a mother, she also became my dad, and she dug into issues that probably typical moms don't, and she was there for me and helped guide me in getting through high school and high school sports, picking a college, going to college, furthering my career as I talked about earlier, starting my business. She was the first person there to help me and provide whatever I needed, and she's always been there for me. She's been there from the day I was born till today, and I know for a fact I would not be the son, the brother, the cousin, the father, the husband, the friend, the man that I am if it weren't for her, and I owe all of it to her, and I'm just very thankful that God gave me her as my mother.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
One, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock. 5, 6, 7
Oh,
o'clock,
thank
8
you.
o'clock,
I love this camera.
Dee, you taught Paige and I how to. I can't turn it off. Get through it.
I feel like I'm forgetting something. I gotta put on a shirt.
And you could have been her mother.
Merry Christmas.
Okay. I'm talking about Russ. How crazy. I'm old. What do you want me to do? You want to restart this?